Populist politicians have made fresh gains in the European Union, this time in Estonia, where a far-right nationalist party more than doubled its vote in recent parliamentary elections. My guest this week here in Tallinn is Martin Helme, deputy leader of the Conservative People's Party of Estonia. Despite calling for blacks to leave the country, he insists he's not a racist. What is he then? Martin Helme, welcome to Conflict Zone.
I'm happy to be here.
You almost doubled your support in recent elections, and you did it by pressing on fears and trying to enlarge people's fears about being replaced by a black surge, a black invasion. That's not true, though, is it?
Not true what you just said. First of all, we almost tripled our faction in the parliament, and
that almost doubled your seats
from 7 to 19. And we are not peddling on fears. We are
no, the indigenous people are being replaced with Negroes. That's what your father, the chairman of the party, said.
With immigrants.
He said Negroes.
No, I don't think so, but that
was February
really
the 7th in an opinion piece he wrote for Este Parlevis.
Doesn't really even matter, because...
It does matter. Words matter, don't they?
Yeah, well, the point being that we don't want to be replaced in Estonia with foreigners.
Who's replacing you?
Last year, we saw, for 2 consecutive years, we have seen a very large influx of Ukrainians, Russians, Belarusians, mainly through work visas, but also illegally. We have seen tripling of the
You've exaggerated the fears about the Slavs coming in, haven't you?
No.
In July last year, your party chairman told Estonian public broadcasting that 22,000 Ukrainians were coming to Estonia every year.
Yes.
As the Interior Ministry pointed out in response to that claim, the actual figure was around 5,600 a year.
No, that's, as the Interior Minister says, we don't even know, because this is the official number.
That's the figure they
That's
gave.
the official number, but they don't even know how many people come in illegally. And the
and
estimate...
if they don't know, you don't know either.
No, but we have an
So you exaggerated almost 4 times.
No, but we have an estimate which says that we have, and we can extrapolate numbers from workforce, from tax officers. We have a general number which is somewhere between 20 and 30,000 in 1 year, and also another number we have seen...
Again disputed by the government.
Okay, well, it's the government's... that is one of the big... Yeah, actually, we do have access to statistics, and we gather that statistics from different sources. This is one of the privileges of being in Parliament. You can write questions to different ministers, to different offices, and ask statistics, and you put the numbers together. And but also, I want to give you a number. We've been told that there is no immigration to Estonia, no sizable immigration to Estonia from the third world. Well, it's small compared to, let's say, Finland, Sweden, Germany, but within 2 years we have had a tripling of Nigerians in Estonia.
Let's look at the facts, shall we? By March last year, let's look at the immigrants who've been allowed into Estonia according to the EU quotas, okay?
Yeah, well...
By March last year, the government had accepted 206 migrants, and at that time, even 88 of them weren't even in the country. So last March, you had to cope with a massive figure of 114 immigrants brought to you, courtesy of the EU quota system. So on the basis of these figures, you claim indigenous Estonians are being replaced by black people.
Well, not just by black people.
At that time, it was 114.
As I just said, there are 2 things.
We dealt with the Slavs, but I'm just talking about the migrants who are coming in.
It doesn't make any difference to us who they are.
This is not an explosion, is it?
No, sorry. This does not make any difference, whether they are from Ukraine or from Nigeria. It's the matter that they are not Estonians. And
but Martin, you're exaggerating the figures.
No, we are not exaggerating. No, we are not exaggerating.
The government has set a cap on migrants at 286.
Government is lying, or government doesn't know what it's doing.
Where's the proof? Where's the proof? You're easy to say, government lying.
government has admitted on numerous occasions that they don't even know how many people have come from Ukraine over the past few years. They just don't know. And then they say, but the official figure is here. Well, sorry, the official figure doesn't cut it, but I wanted to stress an important issue. Estonia, together with Latvia, is a country in Europe with the highest number of immigrant people overall. We have one-third.
It's tiny.
No. It's
tiny.
one-third. One-third is not Estonians. Now this is...
It's the blacks you particularly dislike, isn't it?
No,
it's black people. You said it. In 2013, if you're black, go back. And I want Estonia to be a white country. These were your words in 2013 on a television talk show here in Tallinn. And you were roundly condemned by other politicians, including the human rights group in Parliament.
But 80% of Estonians, there was a poll in Estonia, 80% of Estonians agreed with that statement. So take it as it is.
If 80% had agreed with the statement, you would have won the elections. You didn't win the elections. You came third.
We did very well, but I want to about this statement.
This was pure racism, wasn't it?
Can I please?
This was pure racism.
We will get to the racism issue, but this was back when I wasn't a politician in an elected office. I was a talking head in a commentator's show.
You haven't changed your views, have you?
No,
exactly.
But,
so what's the relevance of
the relevance is that when you're being paid as a talking head, you are allowed to say things out, or actually you're expected to say things out in a more upfront way.
So you were honest. You were honest about your feelings.
If
you're honest. Black, go back. And as the human rights group in Parliament pointed out at the time, a call to treat dark-skinned people differently from others is unambiguously racist. That was their view.
What is racist in Europe nowadays is the replacement of indigenous people. That is pure racism, and we don't have to agree to that.
You discriminate against people on the grounds of their colour.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, we don't.
You said you haven't changed your views. No. If you're black, go back.
As I just explained to you, there is no difference to us whether they come from Ukraine or Nigeria or from any other part of the world. I wouldn't like Estonia to be replaced with Swedes either. I just don't want that. I want Estonia to be Estonian, and that is as simple as that. And if people say that refusal to participate in an ethnic, collective ethnic suicide is racism, then that word has no meaning left.
A massive influx of immigrants, you said, would lead to pillaging and raping of Estonian towns.
As it is.
How many migrants, can I just ask the question, how many migrants have shown themselves to be rapists and pillagers? Since you've suggested that they're pretty much all that way inclined.
Even with the tiny numbers that you just pointed out, we have 2 cases of Syrians in jail right now for trying to enlighten their wives.
So it's 2.
Them.
It's 2.
2.
You've tarred them all with this brush of raping and pillaging.
This is 1%.
So the danger is 1%,
do you deny that there is a massive, massive problem with criminality in Sweden, Finland, Germany, UK, that is brought in by immigrants.
Martin Helme, you paint with broad brushes. What are the figures? What are the figures? What are the percentages of migrants who are involved in crime? You don't know,
Of course I do, but I don't have the numbers.
In each of the countries?
But in Sweden, in Norway, the rape ratios have gone up 1,000-fold. That's not normal.
A thousandfold. Who says they've gone up 1,000-fold?
That's the numbers that actually the Norwegian statistics says to us.
You're painting strange facts.
Do you deny
that? You pluck numbers out of thin air.
Well,
it's a bit
so
like.
do you?
It's a bit. No, I plucked the figures from the government.
Yeah.
I took the government figures.
And you trust the government always.
Okay. So you don't trust the government.
No.
You have your alternative facts,
don't you?
No, I
don't have
just like
facts.
Donald Trump.
I don't just think that you should trust the government. There is a reason why opposition exists, and that is to hold the government to their standard. And when the government fiddles with numbers, you point that out.
You like the Trump playbook of putting your own facts forward based on nothing.
I like Trump.
Speaking of Donald Trump, you're holding out your hands for $1 billion in military aid, aren't you? You want that.
Do you know,
why should he bother with you?
Yeah. Do you know the budget that the United States spends on military aid in 1 year.
Tell me.
Yeah, it's 51, 52 billion a year.
No, it isn't. That's
Yes,
over
it is.
40 years. There's 47, 48 billion. I checked that fact as well.
No.
47, 48 billion over the last 40 years.
They spend a lot of money on their...
now it's a lot of money.
It's
51.
It is 51 billion by our account. I don't know which...
Then your accounting is wrong.
This is the
These
number,
are State Department figures.
No. This is the number that our military experts have told us. This is the number that doesn't always necessarily leave the United States, because they usually support their allies by basically buying their own military equipment from their own military complex and then giving it to their allies. Or even more so by buying new military equipment to the United States Army and giving the old one to the allies.
Why should
this money doesn't have to leave the United States.
Why should the US give you money when black American troops in NATO uniforms back in 2015 were racially abused on the streets of your capital?
Not true. Not true.
Go back to your grandparents in Nigeria. This was the comment that was shouted at them.
And this was a fake news. This has been proven to be a fake news. Total fake news. Yes,
total fake news.
Total fake news.
And it was fake news when Jack Madison, one of your people, said, oh, if they're worried about being harassed on the streets, they should wear their uniforms.
No, this is not fake news.
That's not fake news either.
No, that's not fake news. That was a comment taken out of a context.
Everything is taken out of context,
Of course,
isn't
because the media is extraordinarily hostile towards us.
So now you're the victims, are you?
No, we just
Every
know
time you're
that we're
caught out with something that you've said, and maybe it's a little bit embarrassing, there are disinformation campaigns against you.
We're fighters. We're never victims. We're fighters. We're fighting for the Estonian people.
Are you fighting for Estonian people by trolling and using false names for articles? I mean, at one moment you're the victim of press harassment and press lies, and now we discover that you're setting up fake Facebook accounts and trolling journalists.
There was one...
That's hypocrisy, isn't it?
No.
Martin Helme, that's hypocrisy on a grand scale.
Can I answer that?
Please.
There was one single particular case of one of our members sending an article, an opinion article, to a left-leaning newspaper which trashed our party. And he wanted to prove that the left-leaning newspaper would publish anything that trashes us without any regard who sends it or who it is, without any background checks. And he was right. Any other trolling, no one has any proof that we are doing any massive trolling.
Why did the party lie about it when it first came out?
The party didn't know about it.
They lied about it. They said it wasn't true.
No. The party was not informed about it.
But they said it wasn't true.
Yeah, because we didn't know.
Well, it was true. Well, you could have said, we don't know, but you said, no, it didn't happen. So you lied about it.
No, we didn't lie about it.
The ethics ombudsman to the Estonian public broadcaster called this fraudulent activity. He said, if any attempt is made to influence public opinion under a pseudonym, this can't be justified on the grounds of freedom of expression.
Rubbish.
It's in fact public deception.
Rubbish.
Oh, well, you don't agree with it, but it's
I
not
don't
rubbish,
agree with
is
it
it?
because people write under pseudonyms all the time. People write under pseudonyms all the time.
Doesn't make it right, does it?
Well, if all do it, why we are singled out? But there is no proof, and there is no real operation on our part to have a massive army of trolls. What we do have is a very motivated and quite large number of people in Facebook who support us wholeheartedly and do it under their own name.
In January, you called on the police to do more to contain all the people who were attacking and threatening your party, didn't you?
Do you think we shouldn't? Do you think we shouldn't report death threats?
And you warned you
might
might
Do you really think that we're the ones who shouldn't report death threats?
And you warned you might take measures into your own hands. What did you mean?
Well, for instance, we actually have had to hire bodyguards for our top people in public events because we're not sure that the police can handle it.
You've been associating with the so-called Soldiers of Odin, an anti-immigrant group founded by a man who was reported to have neo-Nazi ties.
Yeah, well, first of all, what I want to say about Soldiers of Odin is this is not a group this is a boogeyman for the left. They have done nothing wrong. Why should they be demonized? But we have no official ties to them whatsoever.
But they have appeared at a number of rallies attended by your party, torchlight processions to mark Estonian independence.
This is a public event. Why shouldn't they be there? They're patriots. Why shouldn't they be there?
They're there as what? Enforcers?
No.
Keeping order?
No.
Well, in 2016, the Prime Minister thought so. He said in the Republic of Estonia, law and order is enforced by the Estonian police. Self-proclaimed gangs don't increase the Estonian people's sense of security in any way, rather the opposite.
Yeah, well, it was a political debate where the then Prime Minister, was trying to score political points. But again...
something you would never do,
No. But this is something that everyone does. That's my point. But demonizing patriotic people who are very concerned about this public safety is below a Prime Minister.
You demonize judges, don't you?
I don't demonize judges.
In 2017,
I don't like judges who do politics.
You recommended that 3 Tallinn Circuit Court judges, women, female judges...
Should be fired.
Should be fired.
Absolutely.
You wanted their heads to roll.
Yeah, that's an expression.
All this because the judges allowed a same-sex marriage to be entered into the register.
Directly breaking Estonian law by doing that.
And you set out to threaten them.
I said that they should...
Specifically to threaten them,
I said these people are no judges. They have broken the law and they have actually done something much worse. They have wandered into the territory of Parliament and they should not be allowed to continue being judges.
You always claim you're so pro-democracy, you want more democracy. You're going to go around threatening people that you disagree with? Do you
really think that judges should be able to break laws and make laws that they like? Then we have a very different opinion what the democracy should be.
Your comments were condemned by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the President, both condemned your statement.
Yeah.
You really
both
feel...
arch liberals.
It doesn't matter, does it?
Of course it does.
Liberal, they're automatically wrong, are they?
No, because
they're liberal, they're automatically wrong.
They liked the decision, but the decision was a political decision. Judges should not be making laws. This is breaking the separation of powers. They are a disgrace to their office.
And you didn't like the fact they were women as well, did you? You said, I want a threat to be heard from this rostrum. I want their heads to roll because it cannot be that some women, this is very dismissive of women, isn't it? That some women come together and just change Estonian laws. Would you have reacted differently if the judges had been men?
No. Probably, I don't see anyone.
You're not sure?
No,
you're not sure?
No. I mean, I would probably have used some other dismissive, but my contempt towards those people is still the same.
The contempt was enlarged by the fact that they were women, wasn't it?
No, that's your opinion. You just assume it.
Your face says something else.
I want to protest this. I am a married man. I have 4 daughters.
What has that got to do with anything? What has that got to do with anything?
I have 4 daughters. I have 2 sisters. I have utmost respect for women. I have never, ever treated women with anything but respect. But I do not like when judges take laws into their own hand.
You had a good election result, Martin Helme, but in the end it still wasn't as big as you wanted, was it? And
it was close enough.
You didn't win the election. Did you overestimate your appeal?
I don't think we ever expected or ever expressed that we expected to win the elections.
Even by scaring people?
People are scared anyway.
Look at the first week in January this year. Your father, the party chairman, warned of a dire international plot, didn't he? He said a confederation of leaders were aiming to turn the United Nations into a world government by 2030. This is what Donald Trump stands against. This is what we stand against.
Yes, we do.
This is nonsense, isn't it? You don't have a shred of evidence to back this plot up,
Have you not read the Marrakesh Treaty? The Marrakesh Treaty basically says that everything concerning immigration should be the prerogative of the United States. United Nations.
Sorry, this is a world government by 2030?
They don't make any...
This is a world government?
They don't make any secret of their desire to pull power to United Nations.
There are lots of people who desire lots of things.
Yeah.
You said there
And
was
we are
going to be
against it.
a world government by 2030. This is a Baltic fairy tale, isn't it?
No, we are...
You don't have any evidence.
We are sovereignists. We are against any attempts to take away power from the nation states.
You talked about a plot. There isn't a plot, is there?
How do you know?
Oh.
How do you know? How can you be sure?
You're the ones who talk about it, so you chuck any old nonsense into the mix and expect people to believe it. There's no plot. You have not a shred of evidence for that, do you?
I beg to differ.
Where is the evidence?
I think the entire history of the United Nations shows you that they are bent on taking power.
Ah, so it's an intention.
Intentions matter, don't they?
Depends where they come from.
Yeah.
In reality, Estonians don't seem to care much at all about your plots and conspiracies, do they? According to pollster Kanta Emor, published in Postimees last November, the top fear among almost 20% of those polled was that radicals and populists would come to power.
Yeah, do you know what the second and the third fear was?
I'm talking about this.
Yeah, do you know what the second and the
twice as
third
many
was?
as those who cared about mass immigration.
Yeah, right.
That's twice as many.
The second was immigration, right?
Third,
okay, but it was close anyway.
Let's stay to the facts anyway.
All right, I can't remember any poll that was done in November, but the point is that the immigration was also in top of those concerns.
People don't share your views about a lot of things. The EU, for instance, your views about the EU. Polls conducted show that a massive 75% of Estonians agreed that the Schengen area has more advantages than disadvantages for them personally.
You're making a simple mistake. We don't go by the polls. We do what we do because we believe in it.
You don't go by the polls.
And we mobilize enough people to support our cause. And we don't care who is against us. What matters is what the support for us is. Of course, when we get 20%, there are 80% who don't vote for us. But that's the logic of every party. The one who just won the parliamentary elections.
But if 71%...
You could say that 70-something% is against them.
You're out of touch with the mainstream then, aren't you?
We are the mainstream in Estonia.
Really?
We are the mainstream in Estonia.
Barking at the EU, accusing it of becoming totalitarian.
Hasn't it?
Why do people like it so much?
Look, people don't like European Union at all.
Look what it's done for them. Really? 71% were very or fairly optimistic about the Union's future. A further 66% agreed the EU was a place of stability in a troubled world. That sounds very much as though they like it.
And who commissioned that poll?
Eurobarometer.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of negative. There's a lot of negative.
European Union asked, "Did you like us?"
In there.
Did you like us? There is consistently.
Oh, so now the polls are wrong.
No.
But your
you get the answer
figures,
to what you want to your question.
Your economic figures are not. There's no doubt about them, are there? In 2017, Estonia, member of the European Union, your GDP grew by a massive 4.9%.
That's a good result.
Inside the EU.
But...
inside the EU. The EU has been good for your economy. No question, has it?
Of course it hasn't. I mean...
Oh, really? 4.9% growth in GDP isn't a good result.
But did you notice the 20% drop during the 2009 and 10? 20% drop in GDP.
And what do you think happened to other countries?
This doesn't. But now the European Union has no business with that.
You have to hark back.
Is it only when the GDP grows it's European Union's fault? But when it drops, it's European Union has nothing to do with it.
You're one of the fastest growing
you can't have it both ways.
In Europe.
You can't have it both ways.
You're harking back to figures 10 years ago.
Yeah, but
10 years
we
ago,
were in European
the middle
Union
of a
back then as well.
recession.
Yeah, and it was in 2017 was a very good global year for growth as well. I mean, you can't have it both ways. We were in European Union 10 years ago, and we were a country that with the most horrid loss of GDP.
And everybody lost.
Yeah, but we lost most.
Everybody
lost. We were the worst in the entire European Union.
And look at where you are now.
Yeah, but
Pretty
why
secure
do
economic view. To say
do
that
you really want to say to me
it's
that European
to say
Union
that
is
it's communist?
stable? European Union is stable in your mind. Then we see a different world.
You say it's like the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
Which is
exactly.
insulting to those countries,
No.
yours included,
Yeah.
that lived under Soviet repression.
I happen to remember the Soviet Union, and I happen to
ridiculous
recognize.
comment, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
Oh,
People
really?
who haven't lived under the Soviet rule might not recognize the trends, but the trends are unmistakable.
Murder and repression that characterized the Soviet Union.
Did you not notice that they wanted to jail Marine Le Pen to an asylum, a lunatic bin, because she was saying the wrong things in public? This is precisely what happened in the United States.
She's gone to a loony bin, has she? She's gone to a house
but the
for
harassment is the same. The harassment is the same. Exactly. Have you not noticed the people who have been put into prison in European Union for hate speech? This is censorship. This is the same as it was in the USSR.
Laws in the countries. Martin Helme, it's been good to have you on Conflict Sound. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Time is up.